The termination letter was already printed before anyone realized the biggest mistake of the company's history. A weary single father stood silently in the CEO's office, still catching his breath after arriving 12 minutes late, while the woman behind the polished desk refused to hear a single explanation. Less than an hour later, another woman burst through those same doors, took one look at him, and collapsed into tears, whispering the words that froze every heart in the room. He wasn't just another employee. He was the stranger who had saved her life 5 years earlier. And disappeared before anyone even learned his name. If you believe kindness always finds its way back, even after years of silence, please like this video, leave a comment, share this story with someone who still believes in hope, and subscribe to our channel so our community can continue sharing stories that remind us never to judge too quickly. Rowan Mercer had built Mercer Dynamics into one of the fastest-growing logistics companies in the country. At only 38 years old, she had become one of the youngest CEOs in the industry, admired for her intelligence, feared for her discipline, and respected for demanding excellence. Every employee understood one rule better than any other. Punctuality was non-negotiable. Rowan believed that every minute reflected character because she had spent her own life fighting through hardship without excuses. Her schedule was measured almost to the second, and she expected everyone else to value time with the same devotion. Across town, Callum Hayes woke before sunrise every morning. His small apartment was modest but spotless, filled with hand-drawn pictures taped to the refrigerator and the warm laughter of his 7-year-old daughter, Nora. Since losing his wife to a sudden illness 4 years earlier, every day had become a careful balancing act between work and fatherhood. There were no grandparents nearby, no dependable relatives, and no expensive childcare. Every challenge rested on his shoulders alone. Despite the pressure, Callum rarely complained. He packed lunches with handwritten notes for Nora, braided her long hair after watching dozens of online tutorials, attended every school event he possibly could, and still managed to earn a reputation at Mercer Dynamics as one of the company's most dependable warehouse supervisors. He never sought recognition. He simply believed that doing the right thing mattered, even when no one noticed. On the morning everything changed, disaster arrived without warning. Only minutes before leaving for school, Nora slipped while rushing down the apartment stairs. She landed awkwardly, crying in pain as blood trickled from a deep cut above her eyebrow. Panic surged through Callum. He rushed her to a nearby urgent care clinic where doctors assured him she would recover but insisted on cleaning and stitching the wound before releasing her. Every minute that passed tightened the knot in his stomach. He called the office twice but couldn't get through because the reception lines were overwhelmed by a regional internet outage affecting several businesses. He sent an email from his phone, though the unstable connection showed no confirmation that it had been delivered. The moment Nora was safely at school with a fresh bandage and a brave smile, Callum drove toward work as quickly and carefully as traffic allowed. He arrived exactly 12 minutes after his scheduled start. Rowan happened to be conducting an unannounced inspection of the warehouse that morning. She noticed him immediately. Without asking a single question, she instructed security to escort Callum directly to her office. The meeting lasted less than 5 minutes. Rowan believed exceptions weakened standards. She reminded him that leadership required consistency and that policies meant nothing if they changed according to emotion. She slid the termination papers across her immaculate desk. Callum looked at the documents for several silent seconds. He considered explaining everything that he thought about mentioning Nora. Instead, he quietly signed the paperwork. His dignity mattered more than begging. He thanked Rowan for the opportunity she had given him over the years and wished the company success before walking toward the door. That should have been the end of the story. Instead, the office doors suddenly burst open. A woman in her early 30s hurried inside carrying a folder against her chest. Her face brightened at first as she prepared to surprise her sister during a business visit, but the instant she saw Callum, every expression vanished. The folder slipped from her hands, papers scattered across the floor. Her eyes filled with tears. She whispered through trembling lips that he was the one who had saved her 5 years ago. The room became perfectly silent. Rowan stared between the two of them, completely confused. Her younger sister, Vivian Mercer, struggled to steady her breathing. Before explaining 5 years earlier, long before Rowan became CEO, Vivian had been driving home from a volunteer event during heavy daytime rain. A delivery truck lost control at an intersection and struck her small car, pushing it into a drainage ditch. Fuel leaked beneath the crushed vehicle while terrified bystanders hesitated, afraid another collision or fire might happen. One man didn't hesitate. A construction worker still wearing his reflective vest sprinted through the rain, forced open the damaged passenger door with incredible effort, unfastened Vivian's jammed seatbelt, and carried her to safety moments before another vehicle crashed into the wreckage. By the time emergency crews arrived, the stranger had quietly disappeared. He refused interviews. He refused recognition. No one ever discovered who he was. Vivian never forgot his face. She had searched for years. Now he stood only a few feet away, older, more tired, but unmistakably the same man. Rowan looked at Callum with disbelief. He lowered his eyes. He admitted it had happened but insisted it wasn't something anyone owed him for. He had simply done what he hoped another person would have done for someone they loved. Vivian couldn't hold back her tears. She explained that surviving the accident had changed her life forever. During months of rehabilitation, she promised herself she would dedicate her future to helping trauma patients. She now worked with hospitals raising funds for emergency recovery programs because one anonymous stranger had given her a second chance at life. Rowan felt something inside her begin to crack. For years she believed she understood strength. She suddenly realized she had mistaken discipline for wisdom. Without asking even one question, she had judged a man whose character far exceeded anything listed in an employee handbook. She quietly tore the termination papers into tiny pieces, then she apologized, not the brief, formal apology expected from an executive protecting her image. A genuine apology. She admitted she had forgotten that leadership meant understanding people before enforcing rules. Callum accepted her apology politely but hesitated when Rowan immediately offered him his position back. His hesitation surprised everyone. He explained that losing a job frightened him less than losing self-respect. He wanted to work somewhere people mattered as much as numbers. Rowan listened carefully. Instead of defending herself, she asked what needed to change. Over the following week something remarkable happened inside Mercer Dynamics. Rowan met with employees across every department. She listened. Instead of speaking, she learned about aging parents, disabled spouses, children with medical appointments, unreliable transportation, financial stress, and silent struggles hidden behind professional smiles. She realized many of her finest employees carried invisible burdens every single day. The company introduced emergency family leave, improved communication systems, flexible scheduling for genuine crises, and leadership training centered on empathy alongside accountability. Standards remained high. Compassion became equally important. Callum eventually agreed to return, not because he needed revenge or recognition, but because he saw real change beginning to happen. His co-workers welcomed him back with heartfelt applause that echoed through the warehouse. Even more meaningful, Rowan personally visited Nora after school one afternoon to apologize for the pain her decision had caused. Nora listened quietly before offering Rowan one of the drawings she had colored during recovery. It showed two people helping each other across a bridge. On the bottom, written in careful handwriting, were simple words that brought tears to Rowan's eyes. Everybody needs somebody. Rowan framed the drawing. Instead of hanging another business award in her office, whenever difficult decisions arose, she looked at that picture before signing any document affecting another person's future. Months later, Mercer Dynamics was recognized not only for outstanding business performance but also for becoming one of the best workplaces for working parents in the region. Industry leaders praised the new policies. Employees stayed longer, productivity improved, trust replaced fear. The greatest transformation, however, happened inside Rowan herself. She no longer believed authority meant never admitting mistakes. She discovered that true leadership required humility strong enough to correct them. Callum continued raising Nora with the same quiet devotion that had always defined him. He never spoke publicly about saving Vivian, never accepted awards, and never allowed his daughter to think kindness deserved applause. He simply reminded her that every person they met carried a story they could not see. Years later, when Nora was asked in school who her greatest hero was, she didn't choose an athlete, a celebrity, or a famous inventor. She wrote about her father. She described a man who packed lunches before sunrise, worked hard without complaining, helped strangers without expecting thanks, forgave people who had hurt him, and proved that strength was measured by compassion rather than pride. Her essay eventually reached Rowan through a community education program sponsored by the company. reading those pages became one of the most meaningful moments of her career. No financial report had ever taught her as much about success. Before we reach the end of this journey, we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a moment when someone showed you unexpected kindness, or when you realized you had judged someone too quickly? Please leave a meaningful comment and share the lesson that stayed with you. As the years passed, the story of Callum, Rowan, and Vivian quietly spread throughout the company, not as a tale about a CEO's mistake or an employee's heroism, but as a reminder that every person carries unseen battles, hidden sacrifices, and moments that define their character long before anyone else notices. A single act of courage had saved one life. A single act of humility had transformed an entire workplace. And a single act of forgiveness had given everyone involved the chance to become better than they were the day before. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Remember, the greatest people often wear ordinary clothes, carry invisible burdens, and quietly change lives without asking for recognition. Before judging someone by one difficult moment, take the time to understand the story they may be carrying, because kindness given today has a remarkable way of finding its way back when it is needed most.